Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October Evergreen Cataloging Interest Group. I am Jennifer Weston. I'm the facilitator of this fine group, and I am joined by everyone on the organizing committee whose names you see listed at the top of our agenda. And we all welcome you to this monthly gathering of catalogers and anyone interested in cataloging in Evergreen. If you are new to this meeting, we welcome you. And just some quick kind of background notes here, what you're looking at, and clearly you found us and you have the agenda. So what you're looking at is our agenda, which will turn into our notes. And within 24 to 48 hours from now, I will post these notes to our wiki along with the recording of today's session and the transcript from today's session. And I want to give special thanks to Mackenzie Johnson from UPEI, who suggested that last month, and we just started doing that. So the transcripts will go up in addition to the recordings and the notes. And the transcripts I'm not going through, so I have noticed that I sometimes do not finish complete sentences. I noticed from reading the transcript. I will try to do a better job today. I'll have a thought and then I will just change where I'm going with the sentence mid-sentence. So I do not go back through and try to clean up the transcripts to make them more, more formal than my normal tone of talking. It's just a transcript of our meeting. So, but it is there to be shared. So today is a little less formal with no official program, as you will have seen in the invitation to the meeting. We're just going to talk bugs today, really. What's haunting you? What's haunted you all year? What do you want to not haunt you next year? I do have a few general updates and probably more than usual, actually. So I want to go ahead and get started on these. It's a small-ish group today, so if you want to use your microphones to ask questions at any time, please feel free to do that. And I will be watching chat. If I miss chat, then I will just ask anyone on the organizing group that's here to help me monitor that today as well. To get started then on our standing agenda items, the Cataloging Interest Group Wiki, I'm just going to always say it's a work in progress. And quite honestly, I have not updated it since last month. And that's on me. But I am also always looking for people that might want to volunteer to help take on some of that. And I'm always interested in brainstorming sessions about things that we might want to do with our wiki. It just serves as not only a record of our meetings and a way to share materials, it's also a way for us to connect with the larger Evergreen community and to kind of keep track of our various projects too. So we've got lots of ideas for content, and I will be bringing those to you, I'm going to say next month, because November will be our last meeting of the year. Couple of updates here. Feedback Fest has happened since the last time we were together. So that was September 26th through the 30th. I was going to say that was just last week, but that's not quite true. It was the week before that. I'm looking to my calendar to see what day it is. Regardless, September 26th to the 30th. I just wanted to include Taryn's note here, who said thank you to everyone that participated. And it looks like a lot of great work did get done. I was not able to participate to the extent that I would like to, but that aside, it looks like lots of people did. If you want to see a progress in the list of participants, you might ask why this is important. This is very important because this is the testing that goes into the features and bug fixes and all the various components that will be included in our next release, which will be Evergreen 3.10 and also Evergreen 3.9.1. So this is what keeps the development moving, is it needs to be tested before it's released. That's the importance of Feedback Fest. Not to jump too far ahead, but to skip over Hackaway for a moment. Bug Squashing Week is coming up next. The Feedback Fest happens first. We get feedback on what's going on, and then Bug Squashing happens October 31st through November 4th. So that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. Equally important for the same reasons, that this is the testing opportunity to look at the work is being developed and to try it out on test servers. Taryn does an excellent job, and I cannot say enough nice things about Taryn and the work that she does wrangling all of that so that we have opportunities to participate. Because often, most of us don't have the facility to create our own test servers. So what happens here is that she takes all of that information from the kind folks who provide test servers, loads up these patches for us so that we can test them and be able to see what that development looks like in advance of it being released, and to be part of the community that does do that kind of quality control before it's just released out to the world. So thanks for those of you that participated in feedback. There's a link there if you want to see what's happened so far. Bug Squashing is coming up. Taryn will put an email out to the listserv, as she always does, to let us know when that's ready. And I've listed her email there if you have any questions about that process. I skipped over Hackaway because I wanted to talk about it specifically. I didn't want to just announce that it was coming up. October 24th through the 26th is Hackaway. Now, normally you think of Hackaway as a development fest, and in many ways, that's exactly what it's designed to be. But it's not just developers getting together and people hacking away on the code to make changes. It's also documentation the documentation interest group coming together to work specifically on documentation needs, which is a way that we as catalogers and friends of the cataloging community can participate so that we can come together and look specifically at the documentation that we're using, things that we think need updated, things that we think that just are non-existent that we would like to see documented. All of those things that you might want to consider. This is a good opportunity for us to take advantage of a free online event. Rogan Hamby organizes this, and I believe that I don't know if that link has gone out yet to sign up for it. If it has, I will forward it to you. If not, as soon as it comes in, I will forward it to the cataloging list. But again, it's just free. It's on Hopin. It's the same platform that was used for the Evergreen conference, the online Evergreen conference. And I have a question for the group. And I say cataloger participation is encouraged. That's true. Just join whenever you can, and there'll be folks there from DIG, I'm sure. And if not, just post a note to the listserv and say, hey, I'm here and I'd like to work on some things. Is anybody interested in joining? But I wanted to do something a little more specific than that and ask if there's interest in setting aside one of those 3 days to where we make it a cataloger day, and ask Rogan to set up a special room just for us so that we can come and take advantage of having an online platform for the day, so that we come together, and whether we just share the bugs like we're doing today to talk about either what our workarounds are or some of the more critical ones that we want to make sure get highlighted while our Hackfest is going on and we have ears to ask questions, or even work on documentation. So that was a long introduction to say, do we want to schedule a specific day out of those 3 other than kind of leaving it general, check in when you can? And I will say for me, that day would be, either Tuesday or Wednesday if I wanted to float a day. And I see Andrea's note that the Hackaway registration has not gone out yet. So I'm going to pause for a moment and see if anybody has a specific suggestion about a specific day, or if there's even interest in it. And if there's not, and we're all just too busy, we think it's a good idea, but maybe not this time, that's fair. Okay, I don't really see anything.
What do you envision us doing?
I would envision us, that's a good question, Elaine. I guess I was going to get through the rest of our list. We've got these several wish list items, and I was thinking that we could look at these because we don't really, and now I'm jumping ahead, and I probably should introduce what my thoughts were. Looking at these various groups we have going on, specifically these 3 wish lists that we just have a few people that signed up for, these 3 special projects we talked about last time, to give us the opportunity to come together and kind of work out where we might want to go with 1 or 2 of these. And we could decide what those were. So, if we had a group of people that wanted to come together and talk about this dashboard and what it envisions, for example, we didn't really have anybody sign up for that one other than, I believe that was you. Let's look at the sign up list. Yep, dashboard was you. Let's jump ahead and talk about volunteer opportunities. If you were with us last month, we talked about some of the brainstorming ideas that came out of the conference and divided into 3 specific projects we would like to consider working on. One of them is putting together a cataloging dashboard. The second is this diversity audit. And we've got kind of notes here for background of what that means, of what a diversity audit would be. And this would be of materials and of the audience, see what kind of reports we could pull together for this, and how important cataloging is to doing a diversity audit of a collection. Anyway, so you can see those notes there. So there's your diversity audit, and thanks to Lindsay and Carol who have volunteered for that. And also an item status screen improvements group. And so again, thanks to Lindsay for that, and Elaine and Andrea from the organizing committee that are interested in working on that specifically. So I would envision that we could choose one, or we could choose, in an ideal world, to work on all 3, but in a real world and time constraints, we could choose 1 or 2 of those to tackle. on a hackaway day. Just for a few hours, I would imagine, not all day, because that's a commitment. But I do want it to be an organized sort of thing, other than just saying, y'all come if you want to. I'd like to have a purpose for us being there. And it is fall, so I use the word y'all much more often.
It's fall, y'all.
It's fall, y'all. Exactly.
Mhm.
I am resisting the urge to buy a pillow that says that in my local shops here, but again,
I could only do it the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, the 25th.
Okay. So if we did, I'm available Tuesday afternoon, the 25th too. How about if we just throw that out there as the afternoon of Tuesday, the 25th, and then say we'd be working on do you want to choose one of these projects to work on then, Elaine?
I think the item status might have more immediate applications for people.
Okay.
But I'm willing to be overruled.
I tend to agree with you. That is also the one that I think that's more, I'm saying more accessible for more people to talk about item status. It involves our everyday lives pretty routinely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's do Tuesday afternoon. I will ask Rogan for a room at Hackfest to talk about item status screen improvements, and then also warn them that we'll be there talking about item status screen improvement. So let's do that. Tuesday afternoon at Hackfest. Tuesday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, that would be good for me.
Anybody on other time zones that would like to suggest other times, please do so in the chat. I just realized that I am not looking. I don't know if my camera is on. I'm not seeing any of you. There we go. Nope. Good. All right. Now I have the list of everybody. Thank you. I do apologize for being a bit disorganized today, but we'll get there, won't we? Yes, we will. Okay. Well, hearing no objections or no other suggestions for the times, we'll go with that. We'll go with 2 to 4 on Tuesday the 25th. I'll send out a specific invitation for that and let Rogan know. Come. Okay. So, hooray. Moving along, Bug Squashing Week, I've already mentioned, it's coming up. Look for that. Part of all this, as you can imagine, we've talked about Feedback Fest. We've talked about Hackaway. Bug squashing can only mean one thing, that we are on the road to a new release. New release is 3.10, as I mentioned. Many thanks to the release team who is taking this on. Jane Sandberg is back working on things, since she's changed her roles in her universities. So glad to see Jane's name anytime it pops up. She's fantastic, not only at the work she does development side, but sharing information. So I always appreciate the way she makes sure that the community gets updated. So thanks to Jane Sandberg, Michelle Morgan, Tara McKenna, and Galen Charlton for taking on the leading of pushing this release out. Again, it's not just 3.10, it will be 3.9.1. There's a link to the development roadmap, the general, what's the general date? I haven't looked at it specifically, but we're looking at release sometime late November, I believe. I guess I could just click on the link, couldn't I? Right now, the target date is November 14th for final release. Keep in mind that these are not completely set in stone, but that is most certainly the target date. It's the middle of November. So that's exciting. We'll have lots to talk about. In November, we'll be so much closer. Woohoo! Even though we already have a program. And Andrew says, and fingers crossed, 3.9.1. Oh, this is exciting. Breaking news, y'all. I keep doing that. Andrea says 3.9.1 and 3.8.2 next week. Woohoo!
That is not a foregone conclusion, but it is pieces are in place.
Fantastic. Well, we'll
Or at
keep
the very least,
fingers
Jennifer
crossed.
Pringle and I are going to write release notes on Monday. So
there you go. Really, that is critical. So thank you.
Hopefully our work shall not be in vain.
That's right.
I will be nagging the developers about this in the next hour too.
Right. Because how absurd would it be to have release notes ready and nothing to release? Well, and no release happens. So no, there will be picketing of, virtual picketing of the people working on releases. Your notes are ready and we're still waiting. Well, thank you to both of you for the release notes, which is, of course, more than just release notes. It has documentation that helps us digest what we're seeing too. So thank you very much. Okay, so my intro here continues just a little while longer. Links to all the release notes. Nothing's new here because we're waiting on 3.9.1 and 3.8.2, which we'll see soon. So what you see here is just that, the latest versions of each of those. If you want to see the full release notes, they are there. Tabular release notes. If you're not familiar, and if you're joining us, if you're new to our meetings, tabular release notes, just that. There's a tab for each version. So there's one for 3.7, 3.8. And it's kind of a grid view. It's categorized because we're catalogers. That's what we do. So it's categorized by the various different bug types. So it's really a quick what came out when sort of point of view for release notes. We keep that updated. And if you just need a quick place to go to see what is the most recent release, I've got that on our cataloging wiki now. Certainly not the only place you can find it, but we do include it there as well. Visual documentation, and then the community demo servers. I always like to remind you that that's there. If we talk about things in these meetings, or if you see them, any questions on the listserv, and you think, well, I'm not on the latest version, how could I possibly look at that? That's what community demo servers are for. So it's on 3.9 right now. If there's anything you want to test, there's information there about how you log in to the community demo server, and information on how to use them. Reading Andrea's note still, release in this context, it's community release. Nothing will happen to your local Evergreen. Oh, very good point. And I recognize I just finished. This is what the transcript is
responding to
teaching
Jonathan's question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm going to get better at not stopping what I'm saying in the middle of the sentence and reading something out of the chat box. But Jonathan's question was, will Evergreen go down during the updating process? Andrea's answer is, the release in this context is a community release. Nothing will happen to your local Evergreen system unless your sysadmin updates your local system. I think that's important for me to say aloud so it gets captured in the recording today. So the short answer is, you need to ask your system admin about any particulars about when you will actually be updated or upgraded, as it may be.
Right, and the process therefore, that process is always governed locally. And I know that most sysadmins try to make sure that any downtime happens overnight, but I don't know your particulars, Jonathan. So that's why I make sure. But no, nothing scary is going to happen with Evergreen next week. I promise.
We don't intentionally try to scare people. Thank you, Jonathan. That was a very good question. I know that sometimes we just get caught up in our jargon and just talking about processes, but that's so very important that it really comes down to the local decisions about when each of these new releases will be adopted and implemented, all of those words. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Okay, a couple more notes and then we'll get on to talking about bugs. So while I'm talking, feel free to get your bugs ready to drop in chat. So I'll be done in about 3 minutes. My quick updates here for these working group subcommittee updates, toying with what particular word I'm going to stick with, but for now I'm using all of those words. Just a quick update from the authorities working group, and I've listed the names of the people here who have bravely volunteered to be part of that. So in addition to me, there's Darcy and Elaine and Jessica and Mackenzie. I've got all of your full names listed there and where you're from. Thanks again to each of you. We've met once already last month. We're going to meet again this month. And as we put together materials that we want to share, we will be sharing those. We'll share our progress on the wiki, and then during these meetings. For now, we've just accepted the charge of working together to do some documentation about how authorities should work and how they are working. So that's just a general update at this point. But again, we will be meeting pretty routinely. I'm speaking for us now, but recognizing this isn't this isn't a very quick project. So we started. We're continuing to build on the momentum from Authority Fest at the conference. Anybody wants to join us, please let me know. Be glad to plug you in. But again, we are accepting that charge to continue working on authorities outside of our regular meetings. Last month, moving on to cataloging reports wish list. Last month, Jessica joined us from the reports interest group and talked a little about their project that they're doing. They're putting together sample reports that can be shared on their wiki, which is fantastic. It's listed down here below. I know I'm jumping ahead, but there's a link to the sample reports page there, which led us to talk about as a cataloging group. I'm wondering if there are kind of specific cataloging reports wish list. And and we talked about having an avenue for putting questions out there and then getting responses too. So that wish list is just a documentation of all the reports we talked about during the brainstorming session, the conference, but it's also intended to start gathering more questions and suggestions for reports. So it's serving two purposes. One, if you have reports you want to share, this is a place you can do that. And then Jessica and I will work together to make sure that the reports interest group can pick those up and include them with what they're doing. Second part is beyond if you want to share something, if you have a suggestion or a question for how you might report on something, this is a good place to do it. And Jessica and I I'm speaking for her now. We've just put this together and I'm releasing it today. But the reports interest group this is one way we can send these over to the reports interest group. And again, what is there now, I just pulled out of our conference notes. So these are just suggestions, and I haven't gone in yet to look at, do these exist yet and have they been shared yet? But that's the next step. But as I put here at the top, this is just really for, submitting suggestions or just asking, is this possible? This is a good place to do that specifically about reports. I don't think I've put this on the wiki yet. I will do that. So cataloging wish list. And these other three we've kind of introduced already when we talked about Hackaway. So we've got these others going on. If you want a background on specifically what these mean and you weren't here for our recap of the brainstorming session last month rather, there's some background information on there and some various links. If you are interested in either or any of these three, again, just please email me or anybody on the organizing committee or the listserv. And if you just want a little more information about what these projects might be, they're only going to be driven to the extent that we have volunteers willing to do the work. This isn't something the organizing committee is going to take on. And we're just saying, if you want to be involved, this is one of those things that if we don't have volunteers to do this, it will not happen. I'll be very honest about that. So if we don't have volunteers, then they'll just sit here on our wish list. So if this is something that you think you might want to take on in the new year, you think, gosh, there's no way I can take on anything else this month or November or December, but come 2023, you'd like for it to be something that's on your radar, then please let us know that too, because we may genuinely not get started on any of this until the first of the year, but we don't want to lose all the notes we have already and because we've had some really great conversations. So if you want to be part of that, even if it's a delayed volunteering, please do that too. Even if you're volunteering means I'm not volunteering to do anything until January or later. Very, very noble work to be done. And we will pick up item status screen improvements at Hackaway. Please join us. I'm almost there. I'm going to read this. Southern Celebrations Angular Act work has been tested and it's going to be in 3.1.0. Well, see what I did, 3.10. It's going to be in 3.10. So thanks to everyone who participated in that. If you want to click on the bug link there to see a little more about it. That's really just moving, not really, I don't want to make this seem small. This is the huge effort of moving these interfaces over to Angular, specifically purchase orders, line items, selection list. So if you work with acquisitions, you know how big that is. Evergreen Conference we talked about last month. It's coming in April 2023. We'll talk about this more in November. But, the announcements should be coming out very soon, and the call for proposals should be coming out very soon. So we'll talk about that also in November. I want to do that specifically, look at the kinds of things that we want to see, topics we like to see included in presentations at next year's conference. Okay. Catalogers Connect, here's the list of all of our brother and sister interest groups that are meeting. And when they're meeting in October and November, these will link out to their individual wiki pages. And some announcements there. Acquisitions interest group meets tomorrow. And Jennifer Prinkle is going to be joining us or joining them. I think I have a conflict at that time. But anyway, Jennifer Prinkle will be there doing a demo of the report templates. 2 themes for the day. Jennifer's name keeps coming up. And a demo of the report templates they use at Sitka to help them clean up their ACT data ahead of year end. So this is totally one you don't want to miss if you do ACT, so that you can be the beneficiary of a lot of the work that Sitka has done and they're willing to share. DIG has they're continuing with their ongoing documentation and they're looking at library settings. So please drop in on DIG. They'll also be at Hackaway. Outreach, always looking for volunteers. Reports interest group, I have that link there again that we shared last month. And Launchpad bugs, this is standing agenda item. I'm not going to click on any of that right now because now the time has come. Half an hour into our meeting, let's talk about whatever bugs you might want to. If you want to click on these links above to see if any of these you want to highlight today, feel free. I have some as a backup plan if nobody has a bug, but now I'm done talking. And I am going to say, let's see who wants to start. Who has a bug you want to look at, talk about? Let me know. Elaine. Elaine goes first. All right. I'm going to try to copy these over.
And this is a real old one.
I like old ones. That means they've been around too long.
Yeah. And it's maybe more of a wish list item, but nonetheless,
okay.
it would make our life easier.
All right. You want to tell us about it?
Well, I'm speaking solely of OCLC in the Z39.50 search, and this may also be applicable to other targets, but you can't sort a list by anything. You have to sort it by author or by publisher or by date. And it would just be a lot easier for us if we could sort by the sort columns.
I agree. I missed that.
Yeah, because we could do it in the Zool client. And we can't do it in the web client.
Let me see. One of the things I meant to do was pull up that community demo server so that we can look at these things together if anybody wants to. Oopsie. We need to demo any of it, so give me a moment. There. So is this
I've
one?
wondered if,
Go ahead.
sorry, I just want to say, I just wondered if it was an oversight because we can sort on so many other grid displays that maybe they just overlooked it and nobody really pushed back hard on it.
Yeah, there's only 4 people five people counting me, I guess, that say the bug affects them.
So this is the time we want people to add heat to that one because if you're so inclined, but it really is just a quality of life thing there to be able to search those. I agree. No, come on. I know it's no longer. Well, this is a, real life example of using the community demo server. Now we'll use the new one I just created. Try that again. No, okay. Whew. So Z3950, just in case. Let's go to cataloging.
I was going to say it's under cataloging.
Whew. So there we are. So when we do search results, we're talking about the results down here. So if we looked for author being, no, this is going to be fun, but, and I'll just search Library of Congress. So I don't have we don't have OCLC credentials in there. No, come on. We may not have Z3950 working on the community server, huh?
Well, you still have local catalogs.
Oh, baloney. What a day it's been. Thank you. See, it takes community. Ooh. So yeah, so we're talking about being able to search these, and you can't do anything with those headings. There's no searching. And you're right. I agree that, that it sounds like that, when we're going, has the screen been moved to Angular yet? No.
Well, and there's since we're here, there's another bug, another old bug. This one is even older. It's from 2015. If you choose if you look at one of those records, in your Z39.50 list, you can't page through. You have to close it, go to the next one. And it would be nice if you could page through those results.
Yeah. So if I look at one and I'm viewing it, then I have to close it and then go to the next one instead of just next. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to look at multiple records to find the matching ones.
And I can't select more than one to view more than one. So even I was right clicking here to do this, but even just using the actions menu, that's all you got.
Yeah.
And so that's this one. And I am going to, as I click on them, add heat. Have I already done that here just to demonstrate adding heat? Yes, it does indeed affect me. There we go. That's all you have to do to add heat. Or if you want to add a note about how very, very nice this would be to have, in a use case for any of these. Let's add heat to this one too, real-time heat.
Yeah, that one has 11. So that's a little better, but it's been around since 2015.
Up to 14 now. Okay. Yep, we encourage people to continue to, oh, yep, we're on a roll. Andrea, the likely path here is angularization of this interface, which would mean it gets the new grid goodies, which includes sorting and filtering. Yeah, you saw me when I was looking at that, I'm thinking this is definitely not an angular view yet. And Andrea, as far as you know, that's not yet on any development path to do this specific screen, is there?
If we end up doing, there's a piece of Angular ACK. I don't have the thing up with me, where it uses mark federated search in acquisitions. So
Sure.
I think if that gets angularized, it's basically the same interface in a different context. So that would be able to be
Nice.
ported over to here as well. Like that would be kind of a 2-for-1. I think I'm speaking without looking at any plans or even a test server. So please don't hold me to these words.
We would not.
But yeah, that's, I think I'm thinking of that correctly. And if somebody tells me I'm wrong, I will 100% believe them. But yeah.
Okay.
So there
Good to know.
aren't concrete plans, but there is a sense of when this similar interface is fixed in acquisitions, that same work can be ported over to here fairly easily.
And there is a steady march getting through all these screens too, which is nice to see. Thank you. Jonathan, has anyone else had a problem when searching for a record? None appear in Evergreen search, but then when you search Z3950, a local result appears in the list.
Well, we never check local catalog here because if you accidentally import a local catalog record, a native Evergreen record, it creates an exact duplicate. So Pines catalogers are instructed not to search local catalog from here.
And I would just suggest, Jonathan, next time you have that happen, if you could just take notes of what the specific scenario was and share it. I mean, recognizing everybody's database is a little different, but if we could just see the search that you make and see, because it could be a couple of different things. I haven't seen that happen specifically.
That used to happen a lot in the Zool client.
Really?
You could, that you couldn't find it, do it, but that had to do with those super pages that were limited to 10,000.
Right.
Yeah, and then so it was in there, but you just couldn't get it unless you had the either the ISBN or the TCN record ID.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking of some historical things too, like Elaine was, and I wonder if in this case maybe there's like a search scope issue, or like it's not a visible record through catalog search for some reason.
Right.
Well, it should be visible in the staff catalog, but if you're, I mean,
Well, right, but like,
Right.
you know, that whereas Z3950. So I was just trying to think of a reason that something would be visible to the Z3950 search.
Or you think about
local catalog
scoping
search and not
too?
visible to staff catalog search.
Yeah. So if you were scoped by a specific library and you,
Right.
and Z3550 doesn't scope like that. It just
Exactly.
shows you everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you
Does.
for making my point better, Jennifer. I was wandering
what
around.
you were
to
talking
that.
about. I'll go back up to Britta's note, but Judith at UPI just says they do local catalog as a backup, so you don't add a duplicate record. Yeah, but
We also use local catalog so that we can then see the native record and mark it for overlay, and then go pick an OCLC record to overlay it with.
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've had too many duplicate records brought in this way.
Yeah.
And so we don't search local catalog from here.
Yeah.
Well, my department's the only one can use the Z3950, so
Mhm.
not so much a danger.
Yeah.
The ACT people can use it, but I haven't seen a problem with that. They're not using OCLC. They're either native catalog or Library of Congress to populate their purchase orders. And then when you activate the purchase order, if it does find a match, it does the link to catalog thing. So that hasn't been an issue.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's when you try to import the local, the native record that it causes those duplicate records.
Yeah. And so the difference there is because of your ability to use OCLC for your cataloging. And
Right.
so for libraries that aren't using that,
Mhm.
this gives them one more opportunity to check and make sure it's not there. It's a different workflow. Most important thing is, to do whatever you need to avoid duplicates.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back up to Britta's got a nice note here. I've been learning, and again, I'm reading these aloud so that it gets captured in our recording here. I've been learning more about the authorities module. Congratulations, yay. And was desperate to add fixed field dropdowns. Yes. There are a couple related bugs, and after some trial and error, I've been able to create them using the mark record attributes encoded value maps. Honestly, I'm not sure if settings are correct, but they work. Congratulations. That's trial and error is the best way to go there. There are also a couple duplicate entries, and I'm working through the sorting bug of 3.7.1, so I'll be able to remove those once we move to 3.9. Is something like this shareable to those who also want this? Yes, please share. And whatever way you have that, we would love to learn from your experiences. And I will go to in a moment. I want to capture your bug. That coded values map so we can identify what that is. And again, you have to have specific permissions to be able to see that map and work with it. But if you do, it's a nice place to have that. So here is the bug that Britta linked to have those fixed field drop downs. And what this bug would help us do here would be that these would be kind of out of the box. It would be stock Evergreen, so that not everybody has to go through the process that Britta has done to add those to the mark record attributes encoded value maps. It's a mouthful. So I believe it's under server admin. Yep. There's your mark coded value maps and your mark record attributes. A couple of different things going on there, but these will work in tandem. Check the documentation. If you want to know a little more about that, I sense that this could be a special presentation to the cataloging working group to talk about both of those. There are some bugs related to at least one of those screens that is a regression bug, I believe. I'm not going down the rabbit hole. I'm really not. But just to say that, yep, nope, I am struggling against that. But no, but these are where you would go. So the takeaway here is you can, with the correct permission, do some of these changes on your own. And then the larger thing is that if you are using authorities in those fixed fields, you'd like for them just to be good, and we can all agree on what those fields should be, which is what we get a lot of questions about when you put that sort of bug in. Where'd bug go? About what they should actually be, about adding the correct data to the tables here, those fixed fields. Usually the question we get back, and I'm surprised we haven't since 2018, is like, okay, what are those values? So yes, Britta, please share what you've done. Yes, they don't sort. That's one of the bugs that are there. And the other is the composite definitions, but again, there's a workaround there. I will make it a note to find the bugs that are related to those two screens and share them, but not today. Thank you very much. Okay, what else do we have that we want to look at?
I've got another kind of small bug.
Okay.
But it's been around for a while since we went to the web client. When you if you accidentally add duplicate records to a record bucket, it doesn't, you have to take the record out of the bucket however many times you accidentally added it. And it also affects the count.
Yes,
because
right. I was just thinking about that today.
Yeah. And it's another one of,
too.
Yeah, both. And it's a usability thing. And sometimes since you can add record to the record bucket from item status, it's really easy to add duplicate records that way, because you might have a list of barcodes that are from the same record.
We've had help desk tickets that were from confused staff members saying, it's saying 32, but I can only see 23. And so I'll go and run a SQL and show them the list. And it's like, you entered things more than once, and that's why you're getting a different count. But it would be convenient, just show the duplicates. What's the harm?
Yeah, or even because in the Zool client, it just didn't count it at all. you could, and you only had to remove it once. And, there's a workaround to getting them out, but it's fraught with peril. Because you have to put everything in the pending, delete what's left, and then move it back from pending. And if you accidentally clear that pending list, then you've cleared your bucket.
Yes.
That
is certainly a lot of risk involved.
Yeah, I do it every so often, but if it's annoying me because of a bucket that I have too many duplicates in.
Yeah. And I do see the note, of course, that this is for work. This is happening in item buckets and record buckets. It affects both. I would assume user buckets as well, but I would double check.
I don't know for sure, but I would think so.
It's like the last time
Looks like it. I just saw a note about user.
Yeah.
Just scrolled up past it.
Okay.
There he is.
There we are. Yep. Thanks, Josh, who documented that 2 years ago. Maybe if anybody is looking for a comment to be made here, if you want to check out whatever version you're on now and confirm that that's still a thing, which, we would assume it is because nothing's been changed there. But it's always good to keep these fresh since it's been about a year or so since we commented on it. It'll go out. One thing I will do is I will summarize this back out to the main listserv to make our conversations more visible, draw attention to these we've talked about. Fantastic. I was looking to see if there's anything else in the notes here. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward about buckets. And let's see what's next. Yes. Stephanie, I like your fraught with peril would be a great launchpad tag. It would be. I like that. Let's see if we can't make that happen. All right, Elizabeth, batch searching. Need to close out some of these.
Yeah, the first batch searching one is an old one that talks about being able to add a list of ISBNs, upload a list of ISBNs to and automatically search all of them. And I have a comment on here that this is very common in Goodreads and Google Books and other kinds of ways. This would be something I think would be great for both patrons and staff. And then in the second one, more batch searching is a newer one.
I love the naming.
And this is the ability to extract and batch search ISBNs from a web page, which is a common thing. You can do that on Goodreads and some other sites. So you, and I have a screenshot from Goodreads on there. So you give it a page. In this example, it's a page from Book Riot of short horror novels. And you, in this case, in Goodreads, I'm importing them into my library. It tells you, though, which ISBNs it found and so on. So, I mean, there used to be grease monkey scripts and other kinds of old things floating around that would do exactly this. You tell it a URL, it could be an Amazon list or anything, as long as it uses ISBNs. The ISBNs don't have to be visible on the page. It's reading them from the links. And, so that would be a great way to populate a bucket with things from an external list or search and find which ones, are not already owned in your system.
What a great idea. I haven't seen that one before. That's just fantastic. Let me make sure I've captured all of these. 5289, 52. Both of those ends in 0879. Nope, I didn't get that one on here. Okay. One more here. Nope. Elizabeth Davis. We're switching Elizabeth.
Sorry.
No, please don't apologize. I'm glad you're here.
This one plagues me every week.
So you're really haunted by this one. So am I looking at the right one for you there?
I think so.
Okay. Batch loading record buckets by bib ID, meaning you can't do it currently, right?
And
Yeah.
TCN. And TCN.
Or TC and TCN.
And TCN, right?
You can upload like on item status if you have barcodes. We kind of want that similar workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Where you could just, if you have a list, you can build a bucket from that.
And I will say that the age of this bucket is deceptive because we have been asking for this since the very beginning.
Yes, since before the earth cooled the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Mm-hmm. They were saying, where are my record buckets?
Mm-hmm.
So what Elizabeth was referring to here, you can upload just this. You choose a file, you upload it, it's happy as a clam to upload item barcodes, but there's nothing similar for record.
Or paste in a list separated by commas, which I use all the time.
There you go. Same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, right there. See, we even have a nice little help note. A single barcode or list of barcodes separated with commas. We're right there. Handy dandy. But no.
I didn't know you could do that. That's really cool.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's been about a year. Is that when it was?
Yeah. I was going to try to. It's not 3.9. It was at least 3.8 or before.
So maybe a couple of years.
Yeah. But yes, you can do that.
I take them out of report.
There you go.
Commas, copy paste, zoom.
Saves you
I don't have to that extra step of saving that file.
Exactly. Every little step we can save. All right, Britta, let's see what you've got for us.
This is more of a personal issue, I guess, but it's still
that counts. If it's personal to you, it's personal to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, your more link is missing from facets. It sure is.
Yeah, I'm big on correcting series when I'm able, and I used to use the facets to see all of the ones that were used in the records, and then I would adapt or edit and all of that in the old staff catalog. But now it only shows the first 5, and so I can no longer. It's a lot harder to edit the.
Oh, yeah, this is hard to do, and it's hard to display. And then this is the same if you use the community server. But yeah, see, so there's not. You get the oops. What on earth did? Okay, they took all of my facets away from me. That was just downright rude. What? Okay, there they are. Apparently, I shouldn't hover over them today. I'm not going to take my cursor back over there. It's personal. Yeah, so there's nothing. Yeah, so if there were more than just those 5, then we can't see them.
And you're right. It was very helpful for database cleanup.
Super duper.
And name headings, all of it. It was just real quickly to pop over.
Right, exactly.
And speaking of authorities, we talked about a way to identify authorities you need to clean up if you see it misspelled on the facet over there on the left. Oh, I like that one. Did I? I like all of these. Did I make that? Let's see if I copied it into our notes. Ensign 0418. I did already. Yay me. Chrissy agrees with you. It is very annoying. Yep. I still do my part of searching in the traditional catalog because of this. Chrissy, can you talk a little bit more, or I don't know if you have your microphone on, about how you do that, how you search the traditional catalog? I do the same, but I don't know if we can provide a workaround that I can put in the notes. And Darcy, you say you use browse for identify authorities to clean up. That's a very good point.
I use that to do records as well, because
so you just do the browse there.
Yeah, if you get at the beginning and the end of certain areas in browse, then you can see a lot of errors.
Yeah, let me reset that. Yeah, so here, and just as a reminder, of course, if you use browse, you are searching the authority records.
The way I do it is you can go under cataloging, search the catalog, or search the catalog traditional. And actually for me, because I make shortcuts on the toolbar up there, the bookmarks bar,
right?
I just have search and new search.
Yep.
The new search is the new one, and the old one is the traditional one. And I just click on whichever one.
So this stands for, and I see Darcy's note here that Bill Erickson took away your traditional option. This is a very good reason to keep it for now, isn't there?
Well, and for being able to clear added content detail because we can't do that anymore.
Gosh, yes.
And
can you do that through the traditional catalog now? If we use I don't think so, can we? If we're searching traditional catalog, we still don't have the ability to clear
you
that.
do in traditional, but you don't in the current.
Yeah.
Let's try that then. I haven't tried that in a while. Is there a bug out there for that one?
I think there is. I was about to search for it.
No, I keep forgetting I am in the community server. I'm going to lobby to have Jane Austen added to our community server. We're librarians. Okay.
Yeah.
What? Science? We don't have science. We do have science. Okay, just to show. Thank you, Chrissy, for giving us that example, and we'll get it documented for posterity here. Here's that more button that we were missing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Where would I go to clear my?
You'd have to select one of the titles.
Yeah, you got to pull up a record.
See, it does take a village. Da-dum-da-dum. I'm waiting. I clicked on it. I truly did. So if I wanted to clear it, yeah.
Clear added content there.
Over here to the right. And that's what's missing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've got one right now that if I could do that, I could correct an error in our titles, because when I click on it, when I click on the image, I could see the right image.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in there, but I can't clear that added content data to get rid of it.
And there's some.
I just posted the bug. Yeah.
Got it. There we go. Content cache. So let me. I'm going to take, because our chat does get saved. I should just report, but I am trying to get all of our notes out of chat in here too. I'm just going to take Chrissy's note about the. I think it was that one. I'll match it up later. Note about more facets. Workaround. So yeah. I don't know if there's a bug that suggests that the traditional catalog link should go away in stock Evergreen. If there is, I'm going to make a note to look for that. But if there is, we should most likely put notes on there about the things that we are still using the traditional catalog for, so that it doesn't get taken away from us prematurely.
We don't have it anymore, but I don't know if that's because Pines took it away, or we're in 3.8.
Yeah, I don't think it's gone yet. I think it's still there in 3. Well, actually, it's still there in 3.9 because I'm using the community server, so it's still there.
Okay. And Anita Brown has it.
Oh, sorry. Anita says, personally annoyed every time I add 10 or more items to the same record. The cursor jumps in the barcode field from line 1 to line 9. I go back up to line 2 and start adding barcodes again until I return to line 9, at which time the cursor does not advance at the end of the line to the next field. Okay, so 10 or more you're adding. Let's just start adding to. Okay, it's been so long since I've used the traditional catalog. Goodness groovies. Let's go back, make sure we're using this one now, and I'll just look for sword, bring that one back. So I am adding holdings. And preferences, I don't like that screen, sorry. Now I can go back to that screen. And you are adding here. So you are adding multiple copies this way, Anita. So you're doing, so you're adding 10 or more. So I guess you could just put in the number there, but.
Yeah, you can use that other icon to the right of it to
say how many.
Say how many lines you want to add.
Okay, thank you for that. It's been a while since I added more than just a couple. So let's add 10. So following Anita's notes, the cursor jumps in the barcode field. So I know that's bad form, but we're doing it anyway. So the cursor jumps in the barcode field from line 1 to line 9 when I hit tab. Okay, nope. Barcode field from line 1 to line. I go back to line 2 and start adding barcodes again. Okay, so I'm hoping maybe that this being able to add them here. I'm wondering if this is helpful at all, or if I'm just confusing the situation by putting in barcodes this way, because that's how I would normally do it. I would just scan my barcodes all the way down like that. I don't use the tab button. But
a lot of our libraries use the tab to go down.
Yeah. So if I'm tabbing, I just end up going through each of those fields that I have present. But it looks like it's tabbing over there.
Your
I've added
scanner
10.
might have an auto return. The tab doesn't
oh.
enter into it.
Very good point, because I am not scanning. So Anita, if you will,
Right.
Yep, and you're on the older version too. Yep. But the scanner, I need to, when I'm doing examples.
Auto return it. Okay.
Yep, scanner auto return would be the problem. Yeah, let's see if that one's been documented.
We turn, catalogers in Pines turn that auto return off.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it still does, because I don't do that kind of cataloging very often anymore. But in the Zool client, if you hit return, it added the item before you were done. So we turned off the carriage return on the scanner so that you had time to finish your edits and then click on add. But I don't know if it still does that or not.
Okay. Oh gosh, we're at the top of the hour, didn't I? Sorry, we've just been talking. I'm going to capture those. I recognize and honor everyone's time. If you need to go, please do. I'm going to take a moment and continue to capture those that are left in the chat. Oh, we got that one. Chrissy, you're still on 3.7.3. So yeah, it looks very different. Most definitely. That's one of the downfalls of me using the 3.9 server. Michelle, please use a staff catalog blocker launchpad tag to mark any bugs that you can't work around without the traditional catalog. Very good suggestion, Michelle. Thank you. We will do just that. I will highlight that. So we will capture that for the next time. I'll clean up notes. And Anita's adding 10 with no tab. The auto return is on with your barcodes. Okay. And if you love auto return, then lots of positive things to say about auto return, Anita. Let's see if, and I'll help you. We'll look and see if this bug is in there. I love you. Is this bugging anyone else but me? So we'll take a look and see if that's been reported about just kind of that user-friendly, less than user-friendly nature, the auto return. So let me just say test and report. Bug. If needed. All right. I guess last thing, since we're here towards the end of the day, I wanted to just say on our wiki, scroll up back at the top really quick. I did take a look at bugs that we had reported earlier this year. They live here on our Angular staff catalog. Is kind of where we were tracking most of these. These are bugs to watch specifically about as our cataloging screens had moved to Angular. I updated notes on those that have been either released or there is a current fix that's been committed. So everything from January has either been fixed already or there's a fix committed. So hooray, that is definitely something to celebrate. And April, those that we looked at in April, there are a few of them that have been fixed there, but these others remain. So I will update the wiki here. I'll probably move this over to another page, but just so you'll see how we'll be able to monitor these, put them out in our notes. And I've realized that we could keep talking for ages and keep finding things that we are buried in the Launchpad that we just haven't seen in a while. So let's do that. As you see things that are just bugging you, send them out to the listserv so we can all add heat to them. Anybody else have any last minute thoughts you want to talk about while we're still here?
I have a forward-looking question.
Oh,
I don't know
yes,
if everybody's
please.
run into that yet. We tested the upload cover feature, and it's nice, but there's question about how much permission we should give our libraries to do it. My concern is if somebody went and replaced a synthetics cover with their own cover, for instance, is that possible? Is that something for me to fear? I was really kind of thinking it should be a permission we keep centrally, and they can send us their images if they have one, and we could load it for them. But has anybody given any thought about how they're going to use this and say cover feature?
We haven't really explored it yet. I mean, we're looking forward to it because there are a lot of self-published things that don't have, and we get some pushback from the authors that don't come in with our added content supplier. So I think one of the questions we have is where would those images reside?
You can have it on your own desktop and then upload it. So I don't know where it goes after you've uploaded.
That would be the question with us. So I think we have to answer that before we decide anything else about it.
Yeah. And I'll take that on. I mean, so we don't, I know that what I can share is, yes, I believe the order of importance, for lack of a better description, whatever your local image is that you upload is going to override if Syndetic is there. So if that's certainly a concern, which would lead to how do you really limit the permissions so that people aren't just willy-nilly doing that?
I think it's an on-off thing. Then you just want a permission to do it at all.
Yeah.
Is the way I would picture it.
Yeah. And I think that might be, I'll have to go back. I'll check the tabular release notes and let you know to see what permission goes with that. Because there's
it came up because we're going to be having a circulation consortial meeting soon. And one of our people asked me, do you think, should we mention this when we're talking about upcoming features? And I'm like, I think we need to talk internally about this before we say anything.
Yeah. Make sure that you've got a policy for how it's going to work. Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And again, I wanted to introduce Stephanie Leary. Just put a note in our chat about adding tags for usability or accessibility on a bug. We'll flag things for her attention. And I wanted to introduce Stephanie. She's new to Equinox. So hello and welcome today.
Hey,
Stephanie. Hey. And she's going to be working on usability and accessibility things, among many other hats she will wear. But we are so very glad to have her. So you will see her name quite frequently, I imagine. So let's use those tags to draw attention to her. Just tag everything with usability, accessibility, whether it is or not, and that way Stephanie will look at it. That's not a true thing to do.
Well, you can
test it out.
Whether or not it actually makes it get fixed any faster is a different question.
There you go. We'll just put a note in there for you. Let's see. Britta says, last note, we originally limited it to those who attended or watched the webinar on how to use it. Again, we're talking about this cover image thing now, and it's now included in your advanced cataloging course. Nice. Yeah, I think that's a great way to approach that. Get a plan in place and then decide who specifically should be able to do that. All right, folks. It's been wonderful as usual. Thank you so very much for being here. Continue these conversations. I will put out the note about Hackaway. If you can join us on the 25th, please do. If not, well, I guess Elaine and I will just make all the decisions about what we want item status screen to look like. I'll get, I'll get these bugs updated on the wiki. I'll get them out to our listserv and just watch for my updates. I'm going to stop recording, but as usual, I'll hang around for a few minutes if anybody else wants to talk, but I'm going to go ahead and officially end the call. Thank you all so much. See you November 15th.
Thank you.
Thank you.